Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to this press conference. We meet at a period when the MDC is engrossed with the internal processes. True to our values, we are in the process of doing our Congress. Our Congress is going to be held in Harare at a venue to be advised on the 18th of December. We have done our nominations in a very transparent, robust way. The MDC is an example of a thriving internal democracy. Every position was up for grabs, and everybody who wanted any position was free to contest it. And people did canvass support for the positions that they wanted. The Congress is preceded by internal nominations. The internal nominations are in turn preceded by setting of the rules governing the internal processes. So before we go to any Congress, we develop rules relating to the elections. These rules are developed by the Elections Directorate, and then they are presented to the National Council. The National Council of the MDC is empowered in terms of Clause 17.1 to approve the rules of election conduct. Now, before we go to elections, as I said, we go to nominations first. And there are basically two methods of nominating candidates within the MDC. The first one is the use of the provincial councils, where people go to the provinces and get elected there. The second method is use of the National Council. Now, the provincial council route was used for a number of congresses at the MDC, and the National Council route was used at the extraordinary Congress that was held in December 2020. So the National Council proceeded to approve the rules. One of the innovations that was approved is that for one to be nominated, duly nominated, to be declared duly nominated by the National Council, they must have achieved a threshold of 30%. So it's not enough that your name gets mentioned in the National Council. The National Council itself must vote, and one must achieve 30% of the vote of the National Council. The National Council of the MDC is made up of equal number of representatives from each of the 12 provinces in the country. So we are very happy that most of our candidates were nominated and opposed. The chairman will give more detail when he addresses you. Most of the candidates were nominated and opposed, but we do have very, very strong competition that is still happening, especially in the Women's Assembly. For that reason, on the 18th, we have an item where there will be elections, especially in the Women's Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, the party is preparing for 2023 elections. We have resolved that we are going to contest all the 210 constituencies, and we think we are ready to do that. We are also going to contest the 1,958, all of them, the 1,958 ward elections. We are also going to field a presidential candidate. We did learn our lessons as the MDC in the by-elections that happened on the 26th of March, and we have put in place a strategy that will deal with those. One of the things that we are working on is the issue of electoral reforms, and I think we are slowly getting there. So after our Congress on the 18th of December, we will announce all the leadership of the MDC at the beginning of January. Between the beginning and end of January, we are going to complete our candidate selection exercise. True to our tradition, our candidate selection exercise is going to be done democratically. So in the MDC, it is not the president who is going to nominate and choose candidates. It is the membership of the party that are going to do that. The chairperson of the party and the elections directorate are going to sit down after the 18th of December to design the candidate selection template. And that is the rule book that we are going to follow as we select our candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the midst of an energy crisis. And this energy crisis has impacted on all the people of Zimbabwe, including the poor and the unemployed, our farmers, as well as both the formal and the informal sector. Our industry has been hard hit. Because of the energy crisis, Zimbabwe is slowly becoming very unattractive as a sender or as a destination of foreign direct investment. Because of that, it means that the problem of unemployment will remain the same. We are very, very worried of the safety of our patients in the hospitals, especially the newborn babies and people who are in critical conditions that require electricity. We think that this energy crisis is a manifestation of poor planning on the part of the ZANU-PF government. They should have foreseen that the Kariba water levels were going down. That is something that was foreseeable. They know that there was need to import electricity in this country. They also knew that in the hospitals and in the clinics, we need alternative source of energy. They also knew that in our critical industries, we need alternative source of energy. So the people who are to blame for the energy crisis is the ZANU-PF government. And they are to blame because they have failed to plan, they have failed to allocate resources towards importation of electricity. We call on the government immediately to allocate free diesel and other sources of alternative power across all the major health centers in this country. The MDC is going to be giving the people of Zimbabwe its alternative policies. We are happy to say that those alternative policies, which will be unveiled partly at the Congress and partly in January next year when we announce our manifesto and the policies in preparation for the election. Those policies do contain elaborate elaborate energy policy. We are going to be emphasizing on renewable energy. We are going to be emphasizing on the need of having sustainable energy in line with the global trends which look at climatic change. We demand that the government gives to the people of Zimbabwe schedules ahead to allow people to plan when there is going to be load shedding. We, in our policies, are going to be encouraging electricity to be generated from smaller sources to feed into the national grid. Example for that is the power generation in Rusitu and some parts of Manicaland, including Nyanga. Ladies and gentlemen, what is clear is that there is going to be a serious clean water crisis. It is looming. And we call upon the government to make sure that the municipalities are given enough foreign currency to buy water treatment chemicals. And this is a crisis that is coming, and it has other crises that are linked to it, the issues of the diseases like cholera, dysentery, and other waterborne diseases. We want to take this opportunity to wish all those people who are contesting in our elections on the 18th of December all the luck. We believe, ladies and gentlemen, that the problems of Zimbabwe will be solved if everyone plays their part. We as the opposition are prepared to play our part in government and in any other fora to make sure that the wishes of the people of Zimbabwe are addressed. I thank you.
In MDC, we have 5 positions elected in the standing committee at the Congress. The 5 positions went through a process of nominations, and the victors are as follows. On the position of the president, Senator Douglas Togarase Mwonzora was uncontested. The first vice president, Senator Chief Ndlovu, also uncontested. The second vice president, Honorable Paulino Mpariwa, was also uncontested. The chairman of the party, there were four candidates, and Comrade Solomon Aka Sox Shkore won the nomination. He managed to reach the threshold of 30%. The deputy national chairperson, there were about 6 candidates. Honorable Yvonne Msarurwa managed to hit the nomination, and she is uncontested as well at the Congress. So you can see the main Congress will be smart. No contestation will be taking place. The Youth Assembly nominations went as follows. Comrade Albert Chidakwa was uncontested. On the deputy chairperson of the youth, there were 2 names, but they then sat down and agreed on one through what we call consensus. Ngovile was then nominated. Secretary General, there were 3 candidates. The nomination went through. Albert Sanyika got the highest. Actually, he managed to crash the threshold. The others could not make it. So Albert Sanyika is nominated. The Deputy Secretary General of the Youth was uncontested. Their name is Barbara Mugabe. The Treasurer General was contested by Tawanda Makonise and Nixon Gama, but the 2 gentlemen sat down for a consensus and agreed on Tawanda Makonise as the Treasurer General of the Youth. The Deputy Treasurer General was again uncontested. This is Nonshanka Svanda. She has gone through uncontested. Organizing Secretary of the Youth, there was Liliosa Mjere, Blessing Kicheni, Ngobizita Mazibeli. Lilosa Mjeri and Blessing Kitchen, all of them managed to score above 30%. So they are going to be contesting each other on the 18th of December. Deputy Organizing Secretary Decent Zaida and Beto Mguni, again, they all managed to get more than 30%, so they'll be contesting each other at the Congress. Secretary for Information and Publicity, there was only one person, Letu Buhie Yovu, uncontested. The Deputy for Information, Winfred Chenjerai, also uncontested. So at the youth, there will be only 2 positions which will be hotly contested at the Congress. I'm now going to the Women Assembly. The Women Assembly chairperson is going to be contested by Senator Teti Banda and Honorable Wazi Sibanda. They all managed to score more than 30% threshold. The deputy chairperson of the youth is Constance Uhururu, who contested with Violet Moketsi. There was a withdrawal there of Violet Moketsi. Honorable Chururu is actually not going to be contested at the Congress. She has gone through. Secretary General of the Women, Memory Mchotinzwa, will be contesting with Lindiwe Maposa at the Congress. Deputy Secretary General of the Women, Chipo Chinamora, and Nyara Zaimago. Chipo Chinamora got the highest, achieved more than 30%, and she's going to be uncontested. The Treasurer General of the Women is going to be Besing Goma and Joyce Makonya. They all achieved more than 30%, so they'll be contesting each other. The Deputy Treasurer General is going to be Joyce Jaja. She scored more than 30%. Agnes Gwere did not manage to achieve that. So Joyce Jaja is going to be uncontested. Organizing Secretary Virginia Mafuta and Nometa Munyai are going to be contesting each other. They all scored more than 30%. The Deputy Organizing Secretary Honorable Tamanimo and Honorable Florence Nika are going to be contesting each other. They all scored more than 30%. Secretary for Information Marita Dube is going to be contesting with Catherine Gojo. They all scored more than 30%. Deputy Secretary for Information Pegim Dimba will be contesting with Shorai Chikandiwa. They scored more than 30%. So you can see from this record that there will be heated competition on the Women Congress. Yes, of course, the youth are going to contest each other, but it's only 2 positions. So on the 18th of December, we are all invited to come and witness our beautiful contest, our beautiful Congress. We should cover it positively. Thank you so much.
There's been a court application by one of your party members, Mr. Norris Maral, who's alleging that there's been intimidation in the process of towards the Congress, and that is been blocked from contesting the president. And also is alleging that the process where the National Council is being used is the same process that the party blamed your former Israel colleague, Mr. Nelson Chamisa, for abusing the National Council structure. Probably would want to know from you if there was more abuse of that particular structure, and also if the allegation of intimidation and blocking of other candidates from contesting, particularly for the presidential positions, are verified. Also, there have been allegations in other quarters that the Vice President, Mwonzora, is also alleging that there has been intimidation and that he no longer supports the president because he was intimidated as he had ambitions. We want to know if it's true.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, my name is Darlington Katz from News Channel. My question is, there are some reports that there are MPs who are losing confidence in the leadership of Mr. Mwonzora and are threatening to boycott the election under the ban of indifference. I would like to know if that is correct and what is the party position regarding that.
Maybe with regards to the first question, the President may want to answer the technical part of it, and the National Chairperson who presided over our National Council nomination process to speak to the allegations of voter intimidation. Mr. President.
Thank you very much. There was a court application by Mr. Marara, of course, but that court application has been dismissed by the courts as being not urgent. Where you have an urgent chamber application and the judge rules that it is not urgent, the matter ends there. You can relaunch your application. So we are very, very happy that Mr. Marara took his case to court, where people who are not us presided over it, and they have thrown away his application. The chairman will tell you how the nominations did go. No one was stopped from contesting the election. That is why the awkward nature of Mr. Marara's application is that he cites Morgan Komichi as a respondent. Morgan Komichi, as you know, he had wanted to contest as well. So why is Honorable Mr. Marara citing him and so on? Is he saying that Senator Komichi was not intimidated, but he was intimidated? We don't intimidate people here in the MDC. I made it clear as the MDC president that my position was up for grabs. I am the only opposition leader who dares do that, because I was confident. Because I was confident of making it, I was also bound by the values of the MDC. Other political parties don't do that. We have political parties who cannot even construct a structure because of the fear of people that they do lead. But we agreed that those who wanted to contest the position of president were allowed, who should be allowed. Nobody was ever blocked from contesting the election at all. And you have mentioned the issue of Vice President Mwonzora. Just a small background. Vice President Mwonzora was not elected at the 2014 Congress. In fact, he did not contest at the 2014 Congress. He was briefly appointed by President Tsvangirai to be the vice president. This is the appointment that was impugned successfully in the Supreme Court. After the extraordinary Congress, I did appoint Vice President Mwonzora as second vice president to Dr. Kupe. And the election, the process, the nomination process at the extraordinary Congress is exactly the same as we did now. So there is absolutely no reason that he should complain. I think when he made that tweet, he was still not too happy that he had not been nominated. He was sitting together with me here in the National Council. So, of course, when people don't do well in an election, they tend to find excuses and so on. And I think I'm one of the few people who don't look for excuses for not doing well. My party didn't do well in the by-election. We didn't blame anyone for that, and so on. I did not do well in the Gweru Congress, that bogus Congress. I did not blame anyone. But this is the cost of democracy. The majority decides. And the majority decided there was a system of rules that were made beforehand and that were approved, and those rules were followed. We don't have a list right now of MPs who are going to contest next year. There is no such list in the MDC. What is going to happen is that in January next year, we are going to embark on our candidate selection exercise for those who are going to contest as MPs representing the party. So if any MP says they are not going to contest, they are not candidates anyway, because the people have not chosen them anyway. So if somebody had been chosen by the people, accepted by the people, and then says, I'm not going to contest, that's another story. But maybe some people may know that when we subject them to the popular views, they may not make it. So, to answer your question very directly, we don't have candidates yet for 2023. The candidates for 2023 are going to be decided by primary elections that are going to be held in January next year. So anybody who doesn't want to contest, it's a democratic right for people not to contest. But there is no one who has been precluded from contesting. The chairman may want to add one or two.
Thank you so much, Honorable President. The process of nomination went through, but the word intimidation is a relative term. It depends on the recipient. However, I was one of the aspirants as well. I managed to chair the meeting. The process went through, and we called for nominations. Names were given out. I remember at the position of the president, I called 5 times for any other nomination. Any other nomination. Any other nomination. Any other nomination. And there was no any other nomination. People that wanted other candidates were here. I saw them and I know them. But they did not find it necessary, I think. Because what happens sometimes when another person is nominated, there is always a response of happiness showed by that group. So definitely when the name was announced for the President Mwonzora, there was a group of people that showed excitement and happiness. Probably, unless that is now referred as the intimidation. But I know after that, I called 5 times for any other nomination, and I didn't get any other nomination. So that's what I can say for now.
Thank you. Any other round of points of clarity, questions? Yes, my lady. You want to follow up, members? Okay. After, you come after him.
My name is Louis from the Newsworks. You've spoken about contesting the 2023 elections for legislators and the council. History has shown us from the 2022 by-elections that you didn't do very well. And okay, my question really centers on chaos in the conflict. There was a point, there was a time when the chairperson said you were contesting the by-elections, and then Mr. Dube wrote a letter and said
What is your question? What is your actual question?
On this particular issue, are we speaking from one position, or everyone is doing their own thing? We had one point, okay, the chairperson saying something else, then Mr. Dube clarifying it on the public forum.
Oh,
yes,
okay, my question would be, what is President Mwonzora going to do to some of your MPs that are still attending other political party meetings? yesterday we saw some of your MPs from the MDC Alliance, like Honorable Joanna Mamungu, who were attending a CCC meeting in Koti. Are we going to see some recalls since they are the community to the party?
Thank you. Was there another hand? None.
Oh, thank you very much. Madam from Newsbox, you asked the two questions. That's why I was saying to you, which one is your question? The first question, I think, was that how are we going to fare well in 2023 if we didn't fare well in the by-elections? Now, Madam, I would want to quote Nelson Mandela for you. And Mandela says, a saint is a sinner who keeps on trying. So it's not enough to say that we did not do well and we will continue not to do well. After we did not do well in the by-elections, we went back to the drawing board. And we are making those interventions that will make us succeed. We are going to fare much, much, much better than most political parties in 2023. And among other interventions, the MDC is constructing structures. We were structurally weak on the 26th of March. So we are constructing structures. And that is why you see all over the social media, the meetings by our MPs, our officials, the organizing department and so on, the women department. It is meant to construct structures. After the structures, we are now going to the mass. We have other political parties who started with the mass and they are struggling to have structures. So we were 75% full through with constructing our structures as at the 20th of November. And I think that by the end of December, we will have constructed our structures 100%. That's part of our strategy. We are going to hinge this election on the structures. There is a lot of philanthropic work, a community work that is being done by our party deployees, our councillors, our MPs, where we are helping rural communities and the other urban poor communities. And we think that that philanthropic work will put the party in good light. The fact that you have not done well in one battle does not mean that you are going to lose the war. I am a living example of the contest that we did internally with Advocate Nelson Chamisa. He had 11 nominations in 2014 for the post of Secretary General, and I had one. If I had adopted the attitude that if you don't do well, you shouldn't work hard, I would not have contested. But I had the mental fortitude, I had the mental strength, I had the positive arrogance to carry on. And I remember saying to him that I was going to get one nomination and I was going to beat him with 1,000 votes. I was able to beat him by 859 votes. Now, that is the type of mentality of the person leading the MDC. So, the MDC leadership has also gotten that attitude. And come 2023, we are going to do much, much better than most political parties. In fact, we are gunning for the presidency, we are gunning for complete control of parliament, and we are gunning for complete control of the councils. Now, Madam, you also, the second part of your question is that at one point in time, there was a difference in communication between two officers of our party. That is not new. If you go to the CCC right now, Wende is saying one thing, Advocate Chamisa is saying another thing, Ostalos is saying another thing, Advocate Mahere is saying another thing. That miscommunication is not unique to the MDC. What is important is that the two officers managed to find what was the problem, and it was resolved. That is not a manifestation of a party that is not in control of itself. There is no problem with Senator Komichi. There is no problem with the spokesperson, Witness Dube. Miscommunication or cross-purpose communication does happen in political parties. And in the CCC, it is happening. I'm saying this to the news hawks because you are not fair when it comes to the MDC. And to those whom you favor, exactly worse is happening. And we want you to ask them those questions. Are we going to recall members of parliament? I, as president, cannot preempt what the organs of the party are going to decide about particular members. The decision to recall anyone, to punish anyone, it has never been a decision of the president. It has always been a decision of the party leadership. So where those people come from, the provinces that they come from, will make their decisions. And what that decision is going to be, I do not know. But the MDC constitution is very, very clear. If you join another political party, then you cease to be a member of the MDC, and the consequences do follow. We don't enjoy recalling people, but we also don't enjoy breaking our own constitution. We are very, very particular about our constitution. That's why we are the only serious opposition political party with a constitution, with the structures, with a process like the Congress. No one else of the major political parties that are there has the structures that we have, the constitution that we have, the policies that we have. And we are very proud of that. We are the only opposition party whose president allows people to contest him. Other political parties don't, and so on. So we are going to focus right now on the Congress that we are having in less than 2 weeks' time. That is on the 18th. We are going to have our Congress, and we are working on the success of that Congress. And every official in the party is working for the success of that Congress. We will do constitutional amendments at the Congress, institutional reform at the Congress, outstanding elections will be done at the Congress. And by the way, the voting in the nominations is by secret ballot, was by secret ballot. And that is our tradition as the MDC. Right now, we are compiling the voters' roll to be used by the women. We are also in the process of printing the ballot papers. We believe that charity begins at home. And I think that the MDC is on its way up. We have defied the odds. We have defied the naysayers. And we are slowly getting on top of the situation. Thank you.